The Lucie Foundation presents the 18th Annual Lucie Awards ceremony. Please welcome Hossein Farmani, founder and president of Lucie Foundation.
Good evening. In 2003, when we decided that the photography industry needs an Oscar of its own, the Lucie Awards, we never thought 20 years later we would be doing an online version. You see, the goal of the Lucie Award was always to have people meet, greet, and shake the hands of those masters of photography who, for the most part, have remained hidden behind their lenses. Today, in the age of pandemic, we can bring our honors to the light and produce these events online until the time is safe for all of us to once again meet the men and women whose images have shaped the world with their brilliant photography.
Hi, my name is Susan Barres, and I'm co-chair of the Lucie Awards and head of judging for the IPA. Welcome to the 18th Annual 2021 Lucie Awards. I think I matched the year. I feel about 21. With all that's happened, though, with us and with the world, I think I've aged about 2,000 years in a pandemic that's changing plans and lives. There's an old joke. A man who's lost asks a New Yorker, "How do you get to Carnegie Hall?" The other responds, "Practice, practice, practice." Well, in the case of the Lucie Awards, we have been practicing for many years at our Carnegie Hall home. But now we can't get in because we're dealing with a still prevalent COVID virus. Lucie, however, is resilient, and we've turned to other means of honoring an extraordinary array of photographers with that well-deserved Lucie statue and accompanying videos that will leave you breathless. You will then understand why the Lucies can't be deterred from making these awards happen. It may be a more subdued Lucie, only lacking in the personal hugs, the cheers, the bravos, accompanying the usual evening's event. But viewing these spectacular works captures that same awe-inspiring feeling and enthusiasm. It transcends everything, no matter being present or, in this case, online. This year's brilliant Lucie Awards recipients uplift you, motivate, challenge, renew, enthrall, encourage, educate, and just make us grateful that their visual voices, which have spoken to us over many decades, no translation needed, make us aware of things we don't know or elicit feelings we never felt just by responding to their images. I should have known Lucie's durability. In Hebrew, the number 18 is the symbol for the word life. The life of photography is burning brighter than ever. And like Lucie itself, she works to shed light and enlighten us all. And now on to the Lucie Awards honorees.
Tonight, I'm presenting to you 9 photographers whose iconic images have captured us for nearly 7 decades. Enjoy their stories and photos that they have gifted us. Pamela Hanson is known as one of the first female photographers to work in the fashion industry, creating iconic images of women for magazines including Vogue, Glamour, Vanity Fair, Elle, Jane, and Allure. Hanson's work is more cinematic than what was happening in fashion photography, as the movies were her true inspiration. Growing up, she always carried a camera. In high school, she shot all of the year-end books. The love of photography continued, and she made her photography a visual diary of her life and its movement in time. Fortunately, she met the celebrated Vogue photographer Arthur Elgert, who promised to hire her as an assistant if she moved to Paris. Hanson worked as his driver, doing odd jobs, and finally as his assistant. Hanson then started shooting mainly lingeries. A lot of her friends at the time were models, and Hanson just began documenting life there. Arthur told her to keep the photos, that they were good, the rest is history. Pamela has directed several television commercials, including Estee Lauder's, L'Oreal, Johnson & Johnson, Elizabeth and James, and Zanin Optical. She has also directed a series of television spots to raise funds for funding juvenile diabetes cure, and has received an award from the Association of Independent Commercial Producers, AICP, for her Family Stories, a short documentary. Pamela Hanson has remained, after 40 years, at the top of her game in fashion photography. Her spontaneity and intimate moments, whether stealing kisses or cigarette breaks, continue to make us feel like warriors in the world that she has created and captured with her camera. Let's see her work.
Pamela's first camera that I remember was a camera that she made out of cardboard. I drew pictures to put in the back of the cardboard camera. The cardboard camera was a duplicate of a Rolleiflex camera from the 60s. So that was the first camera that I remember. And after that, I've never not seen her with a camera somewhere on her body. And if you're lucky enough to be photographed by Pamela, you know what I mean.
Her work shows this, her relationships show this. She wants to work with people who don't mess around, who have great ideas and who get it done. When I see her images, women look their best and they look like themselves and they look comfortable. There is something completely unforced about the way that Pam works. Pam is there for the real person, the real woman who has enough to say with how she looks and how she is, rather than layering on artifice on top of her. So, and I would say the same thing of Pam. I have never worked with such a naturally elegant woman. So I think I'm thrilled that Pam is receiving this Lucie Award for a rich history of work, the ease of which says everything about the woman who made it and makes the women who appear in it feel wonderful. So congratulations, Pam.
I want to thank the Lucie Foundation for this award. I'm very honored to receive it. I consider myself to be incredibly lucky. I've had an amazing 40 years in the fashion industry. It's been incredibly rewarding. I've met so many wonderful people. There were three amazing women who really helped me. The first one was my best friend, Lisa Love, who literally supported me when I first moved to Paris. Barbara Schlager, who was my first agent, who really encouraged me and helped me get my feet off the ground. And Brana Wolf, who really taught me about fashion and helped me to understand exactly what that was and how to maintain some integrity in my pictures. So thank you to everybody. I'm very, very fortunate, and I've been really lucky, and I still love to take pictures. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
This evening Visionary Awards is Steven Sasson. In high school, he developed an intense interest in electronics and collected all manners of discarded TVs and radios from around the neighborhood to salvage electronic components for his home project. He graduated with a bachelor's and master's degree in electronics and engineering and joined the Eastman Kodak as an electronic engineer. Very early on, he became engaged in a number of early digital imaging projects. The most significant of those was the design and construction of the first digital still camera and playback system in 1975. Steve was challenged to try to explore a new type of imaging devices called charge-coupled devices. He thought if he could capture the light-induced charge pattern from his device and store it electronically, it could replace the need for photographic film. After receiving a patent on his concept in 1978, Steve proceeded to work in the emerging field of digital imaging and continued to do so for the rest of his 35 years career at the company. Steve was privileged to be involved with the development of some of the earliest DSLRs and photographic thermal dye printing system that plays such a large role in our present photographic world. He received 10 US patents in this field over that time period. In 2009, President Obama awarded Sasson the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. And in 2012, he received the Royal Photographic Society's Progress Medal. Though he has been privileged to have been recognized for his invaluable work on several occasions, Steven Sasson is still in search of being considered the cool by his kids. He thinks perhaps his Lucie Award might well do that trick. To the photo world, however, Steve is what a very cool dude.
It's very unusual for me because I'm really not a photographer at all. I'm really more of a curious engineer. And it was here that in speaking with Gareth Lloyd as my supervisor, he asked me to look into doing research on a charge-coupled device. I thought if I could get this device to work with a light pattern on it, I would try to measure its output, and the best way to measure the output of an electronic device is to maybe convert it to numbers. So I digitized the output, and that allowed me to store it. And then I thought, well, if I've already got a stored electronic image, why don't I try to view it? And so I came up with this idea of trying to build a self-contained, all-electronic still camera, and that's what I called it. And it was that development that I presented to the Kodak management in 1976, in the spring of 1976, through a series of demonstrations where I went in and took pictures of managers and showed it to them on the television screen that was the output from the playback device. So that was the beginning of my career, and I spent the entire balance of my career working in the field of digital photography. It took the better part of 30 years to go from that first prototype to sort of at least a beginning of consumer acceptance of digital photography. I'm very honored to be among the nominees this year, and I'm especially honored because of the great photographers that are in this nominee class. They are the true storytellers of our generation, and I'm honored to have played a small part in allowing them to be able to do that.
Steve Sasson was hired by the Eastman Kodak Company in 1973. One of his earliest assignments in 1975 was to investigate the imaging potential of the charge-coupled device. Steve took the investigation concept a bit farther, deciding to build a handheld camera with no moving parts. Much like color film, The handheld digital camera invented by Steve Sasson would dominate the industry, although it would take about 30 years for the technology to catch up to the resolution of film. Over the next few years, the combination of improved imaging sensors, the lower cost of memory, and the convenience of nearly instantaneous image sharing, and especially the introduction of the smartphone, would allow digital photography to surpass film, both in numbers of images made per year and quality. The digital camera and easy access to the various social media platforms available on the internet significantly changed the way we share photos. Now, with just a click of the mouse, we literally can share photos with the entire world.
I would like to thank the Foundation for this wonderful recognition, this 2021 Spotlight Visionary Award. You know, when I took the first digital photograph with my prototype camera back in the laboratory in 1975, I really had no idea when or even if this approach to photography would ever become practical. But since then, there's been a multi-decade effort on the part of thousands of technologists and photographers from around the world to drive this to be a practical tool for photography. And I am so honored to have been able to make a small contribution to this effort. So again, thank you very much to the Foundation for this wonderful honor.
Whoever said you can't improve on nature never saw the extraordinary portraits of endangered species by our humanitarian award recipient, Joel Sartore. His mission impossible as founder of PhotoArc is to take studio portraits of all the world's astonishing endangered diversity. In Joel's 25-year project, he's over halfway to his goal at 11,000 of documenting all 20,000 species living in the world's zoos and wildlife sanctuaries. Joel Sartore's interest in nature started in childhood in Nebraska when he learned about the very last passenger pigeon from one of his mother's Time Life picture books. He has since had the distinction of being chased by a wide variety of species, including wolves, grizzlies, musk oxen, lions, elephants, and polar bears. His first National Geographic assignment introduced him to nature photography and also allowed him to see human impact on the environment firsthand. For each photograph, Sartore fills the frame with the subject, regardless of whether it's a bear or a moth, to create a unique and personal portrait of each creature. It's worth the scratches and bruises because, in Joel's words, it is folly to think that we can destroy one species and ecosystem after another and not affect humanity. When we save species, we are actually saving ourselves. In addition to the work he has done for National Geographic, Joel has contributed to the Audubon magazine, Geo, Time, Life, Newsweek, Sports Illustrated, and numerous book projects. Joel and his work have been the subjects of several national broadcasts, including National Geographic's Explorer, NBC Nightly News, NPR's Weekend Edition, and an hour-long PBS documentary At Close Range. He is also a contributor to the CBS Sunday Morning Show, a personal favorite of mine since forever. In the film Racing Extinction, he's photographed the very last Rab's fringe-limbed tree frog. He was named a fellow in the National Geographic Society. Sartore says that photography can make a difference in two ways. It can expose environmental problems as nothing else can, and it can help people to care. Through his amazing images, raising funds for sanctuaries, his passion for conservation, and visually making the world aware of what we're losing, Joel Sartore himself has become the very rarest of the human species. and we are all so grateful.
The photographs that stands out for me in that kind of storytelling is when Joel proposed a story on the amphibian crisis. And I don't think anything quite prepared us for the image that Joel brought back, but it was this beautiful, beautiful landscape in the mountains, this stream bubbling through a field, and in the stream, floating belly up, were all of the research toads. And it was absolutely devastating photograph, and I don't think that anything else could have said as much about the children crisis as that particular photograph.
This kind of singular vision of what he could do that would be a unique contribution to the environmental and conservation field of photojournalism.
The image that comes to mind when I think of Joel is staring up at the billboards and watching as PhotoArc takes over Times Square, images plastered on many of the billboards to celebrate Endangered Species Day. This is exactly what Joel's goal is with PhotoArc, is to share these images with the world and inspire people to do something to help out.
Joel transitioned in 2006 from a successful career as a photojournalist to dedicating himself to creating the PhotoArc. And he has never looked back.
It's easy to say that the PhotoArc is all about portraiture, but I think what Joel brings to every one of those images is a story. What is the story behind that species? Why should we care about it? Is with a deep background knowledge of the particular species, the issues at hand, and I think it really informs the way that he works with those animals.
Photojournalism is a competitive field, so those photographers that have a real commitment and passion for what they are doing are the ones with the staying power that are going to make it. Joel continued to do really outstanding work, and one that we want to make sure that we preserve for generations to come.
I'm so pleased and happy for you, Joel, to see you and your work honored by the Lucies. Love you, my friend.
Congratulations, Joel.
Congratulations, Joel.
Hi everybody, Joel Sartori here at World Headquarters for National Geographic PhotoArc here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Look what I got in the mail. A really neat box that contained a really neat award. Many, many years ago, 30-some years ago, I started for National Geographic. And so my wife got sick about 16, 17 years ago, and I was home for a year. And I had a year to stop and think about what I was doing with my life. I was 42 years old, and I thought, you know, maybe I could do a series that would stick, that wouldn't be tied to magazine work. So we use black and white backgrounds to level the playing field. The mouse is the same size as an elephant. There's no size comparisons. And we're looking at these animals right in the eye with no distractions, black and white backgrounds. We're right there with them. And we can see there's great beauty and intelligence and grace there. And that every animal's worthy of survival, of surviving. We need to be better stewards for all animals, great and small. So that's what the PhotoArc's all about, and I imagine that's what led to this. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for this. I don't know that I deserve it, but it'll have a place of honor here at the office. Thanks very much, everybody.
Tonight's achievement in fine art goes to Paul Caponegro. Paul Caponegro is renowned as one of America's foremost landscape photographer. He started having interest in photography at age 13. However, he also had a strong passion in music and began to study music at Boston University College of Music in the 1950s, before eventually deciding to focus on photography at California School of Fine Art. Paul studied in minor white, and his work are known for their spiritual and mysticism. Caponegro has been awarded 2 Guggenheim Fellowships and 3 grants from NEA. Capanegra's work is included in the collection of the Guggenheim, Whitney, Norton Simon Museum, New Mexico Museum of Art, and San Francisco Museum of Modern Art. He was awarded the Royal Photographic Society's Centurion Medal, an honorary fellowship in recognition of sustained and significant contribution to the art of photography. He is a dedicated pianist and considers his training with music to be essential to his photographic imagery. In speaking about his career process, Capanegra has said, "One needs to be still enough, observant enough, and aware enough to recognize the life of the materials, to be able to hear through the eyes." The mysterious work of his iconic images makes an impact on every viewer to be able to hear it loud and clear. Let's see and hear his work now.
His work of the ancient stones and the monasteries and around Salisbury Plain as well to Stonehenge were extremely moving spiritual photographs. And when I showed my work of England to Paul, Paul looked at those images and said, "You know, Ron, what you're looking for in England, there's more of in Ireland." Paul had I mean, his work and his personality, everything about Paul just had a great influence on me, and sparked my interest in Ireland. And I've been bringing people there for the past 50 years. It just kind of made my blood tingle when I saw that photograph, and that was one of the reasons I started going to Ireland. It was something about those stones and the way they silently communicate. It's deeply spiritual. You feel something like within your heart, within your solar plexus. There's something very strong that sort of comes through, some kind of common denominator that binds us all together.
I have known Paul Capanegra since, the early 90s, I suppose. You know, one of the questions I was asked was, how did his music influence his photography? And he had recorded a CD of him playing the piano at Huntington Witherell's house, and it's incredible. Along the coast, I just found myself reduced to tears. And I think it's sort of the same way when he shoots film. There's something that's really transcendent in his images.
Well, when I think about photography, I think about I'm very humbled to have met many of the world's greatest photographers during my career as a gallerist. And whenever I need some particular inspiration, I just go and look at your photos again. And they're like great novels. You never get tired of rereading them and learning from them. You're at the top of my list, Paul, as one of the greats, not only as an artist, but as an incredible human being.
I can't think of anyone more suited and deserving than Paul Capanegra to get this year's Lucie Award.
Thank you, Paul. You're a gift. God bless.
Here I am in my vault where I keep my life's work. Thank you, Lucie, for awarding me the Lifetime Achievement. It has been wonderful years of working, and it's wonderful to have Lucie acknowledge that it is good work. I will continue to work that way with silver. I'll continue to, I've got a few years left. At the age of 88, I decide I'm going to work another 15 years at least and make some new prints, but I'm going to have to expand this space because it's full up with 60 years of prints. But I have a new companion, and it's going to be fun to have her overlook what I do in the future. Thank you, Lucie, for the award.
Achievement in portraiture goes to Lynn Goldsmith. Lynn Goldsmith's multi-award-winning career in photography has included the Lifetime Achievement Awards from the Professional Photographers of America, the Lucian Clark, the World Press in Portraiture, to name a few. Her images has appeared on and between the covers of some of the most respectful publications across the globe: Life, Time, Newsweek, Rolling Stone, Interview, People, Sports Illustrated, Stern's, Paris Match, Elle, and many more. With 14 photo books of her images, as well as hundreds of groundbreaking album covers, from Patti Smith's Easters to Frank Zappa's Chic Yarabuti, her commercial and personal focuses on photography has always been on portrait. The National Portrait Gallery, MoMA, the Museum of Contemporary Photography, the Kodak Collection, and the other prestigious museums, including her work in their permanent collections. Lynn is a pioneer, one of the first women to direct network TV, to be a manager of a rock and roll group, the founder of the first photo agency focused on celebrity portraits, and to be the mother inventor of the selfie sticks. She changed art book publishing models with her New York Times best-selling Rizzoli monograph, New Kids. And now she's taking on securing the rights for all visual artists in the US be entitled to control of the rights of the works they have created. Lynn has worn many hats in her multifaceted life. However, there is one she never takes off: photographer. She has worn that since she was 8. It's her identity, the one constant through her career. Lynn Goldsmith sees herself as an artist using the camera to expose herself until it will no longer be physically possible. In that case, we all will be under her exceptional broader hat for many, many years to come.
Lynn is known primarily for the musicians she's taken pictures of, and her body of work is just extraordinary. But really, she's an artist equal in stature to anyone she's ever photographed. And she's a genius at it. When I think of Lynn, I think of her amazing portraits of Patti Smith with their vibrant colors, which are really collaborations between two extraordinary artists. Whenever I hear Roger Daltrey's name in my mind, I immediately see Lynn's portrait of him, those playful blue eyes popping up from a blue sea.
When I first met Lynn, it was as the girlfriend of a friend of mine. And on it went to discovering you as a photographer. And it was, I think, the first time I went to your studio, and I saw these pictures, one after another. David Bowie, Bruce Springsteen, Mick Jagger, Patti Smith, on and on, maybe
anybody
15 or 20 of them. Anybody.
One of the most extraordinary works of the last couple decades is the collaborative, monumental work that Lynn Goldsmith has made with Patti Smith, one of her dearest friends.
Lynn brings into a session her enthusiasm, her respect for her subject, for photography itself, but also a lightness that allows her subject to be relaxed, to be playful as well as focused. She has the ability to draw so many facets from her subjects.
I love her portrait of Gene Simmons of Kiss getting off a bus on Fifth Avenue in New York. It's absurd and wonderful and so rock and roll. And the idea for that shot was entirely Lynn's.
You can tell a Lynn Goldsmith photograph. Think of some of the iconic ones. The young Bruce Springsteen, still very young, but you can feel the energy. You can feel the hunger inside. And compare that to Bob Dylan, the photographs where everything is quiet, contemplative, held inside. Lynn Goldsmith is extraordinary.
I'd like to thank everyone at the Lucies for recognizing my work in portraiture over the past 50 years. And a big thanks from my heart to all those subjects that trusted me and gave of themselves in front of my camera. None of this would have been possible without the women photo editors who believed in me. Joan Engels of Newsweek, Karen Malarkey of Rolling Stone, and later Sports Illustrated, Ilian Lafont of Look magazine, Bobby Baker of Life magazine, Michelle Stevenson of Time magazine. Those women were always behind me. I do have one man to thank, and that's Bob Engel, who I would beg incessantly to send me to Vietnam. And I'm glad that he didn't. He would say, Lynn, you're a girl, I'm not sending you. Because I might not be here now with an award in portraiture from the Lucies. So thanks to everybody.
The 18th Lucie for Achievement in Documentary goes to David Hearn. Life, as it unfolds in front of the camera, is full of so many complexity, wonder, and surprise that I find it unnecessary to create new realities. There is more pleasure for me in things as they are, David Hearn says. Born in the UK of Welsh descent, David Hearn is a self-taught photographer who began his career in 1955, having rejected a potential life in the army. A freelance photographer, he gained his early reputation with his stunning reportage of 1956 Hungarian Revolution. Hearn eventually turned away from covering current affairs, preferring to take a more personal approach to photography. He returned to live in Wales in the 1970s, vowing to spend 30% of his photographic time documenting his home country, Wales. He became a member of Magnum in 1976. He later founded the famous School of Documentary Photography in Newport, Wales. Hearn collaborated on a very successful textbook called On Being a Photographer. His first book from Wales was Land of My Father, which truly reflects Hearn's style and creative impulse. This was an attempt to discover what is meant by phrase my culture. It consists of observation taking places in Wales over years. David Hearn has also captured some of the most iconic images of actors, artists, celebrities, and musicians of the 60s and 70s. Familiar work of Al Pacino, Sophia Loren, and original James Bond, Sean Connery. The 60s photograph by David Hearn, an Arizona trip, was a year-long UK-US Bicentennial Fellowship to photograph in America. David Hearn has a long-standing international reputation as one of the Britain's most influential reportage documentary photographers. It has been said he deals with the significance of the mundanes. His photographs have been acquired by many leading museums. In 2016, David Hearn was awarded an honorary fellowship of the Royal Photographic Society. He continues to live in and work from his home in beloved Wales.
Well, it's actually the first picture in his book, Wales, Land of My Father. It's the Gorsyth procession. That means, in fact, a group of bards taken in Carmarthen in 1974.
When I think about David's work, one of the most iconic and moving images that comes to mind was the collapse of a colliery spoil tip, which engulfed a primary school and killed 116 children and 28 adults, wiping out an entire generation. The photograph that I'm talking about shows two young boys with their arms around each other, gazing down at the catastrophic scene below, the remains of the primary school and the heroic rescue effort that was being carried out by the local community to retrieve the children.
If I had to think of one project from David, I think of the one in Tenby, I think of the sheep in the hut, and his natural compassion, his natural empathy, and he's done a brilliant job at documenting them over this 50-year period that he's been photographing.
He just takes great pleasure in documenting the everyday, and I think that is really reflected in his photographs from Wales, whether that's an image taken of a coal miner after a hard day's work or of beachgoers enjoying a sunny summer's day.
I think David's, if you like, his vision is very gentle, it's very funny, it's got some humour in, but at the same time it's really revealing and telling. So I think he's able to combine these things. He's very gentle on one level, but at the same time you can feel he's got real conviction, real empathy and real integrity. And he can combine those two things in the photograph extremely well. And that to me is his real great achievement.
Well, his commitment to documentary photography for over 60 years is in itself a huge achievement. But he's his own master. He hasn't accepted an assignment since 1970. He was interested in teaching photography in a humanist sense to make the world a better place, encouraging students to say something about the world.
I think his eyes are open and he just lit up because he knew immediately this is what he wanted to do, and this amazing archive that he's produced in this 50-year period.
He deserves this recognition at the Lucie Awards for his commitment to the documentary discipline and also for creating a portrait of a nation that spans the last 50 years.
Well, I'm overwhelmed. I guess I need to thank a few people. I guess the millions that I pointed my camera at, and I want to thank the fraternity of photographers and editors and critics, etc., that I've befriended and have given me photographically such a wonderful life. And I'd like to actually thank the people of Tintern, which is the village where I live, who have made living in Wales so wonderful. I guess I'm on a big high, so thank you very much.
Achievement in sports this year goes to Bob Martin. Bob Martin is one of the best known and most admired sports photographers in the world. During a career spanning the last 30 years, Bob photographed every major sporting event from the last 15 Summer and Winter Olympics to elephant polo and horse racing on ice. His work has taken him to the farthest corner of the world, and his photographs have been published in the numerous publications, including Sports Illustrated, Time Magazine, Newsweek, Stern's, Paris Match, the Sunday Times, and the New York Times. His photographs has been recognized by more than 65 national and international awards. As a photography chief for London Game, he and his team helped to control and direct the 1,583 attending professional photographers and the images that they produced. Now let's see Bob Martin's incredible eye.
I think it's his unique vision that differentiates Bob as a photographer. He has the ability to capture something that others don't, and whether that's the personality, the human behind the sporting achievement, or the perspective, the effort, the challenge. In portraiture, he builds an extraordinary connection with his subject. It is wonderful that Bob's being honoured with the Lucie Award. His lifetime portfolio, I think, says it all, that incredible collection of iconic shots. You see a shot and you just know it's Bob Martin.
Too many pictures were long lens, tight images, often shot from the same angle. We thought about ways to create pictures so compelling that captions were not required. And you could tell it was his picture without even reading the credit line. He just saw things differently. He combined light and shadow in a way that elevated his pictures to an art form.
Sport images were on the front cover. They're on page 2. They're on page 3. They're on the back cover, the inside back cover. They were the center page spreads. They were the pull-out features. They were the wraparounds like the Times did. There were 7,200 pages of Olympic content in the national dailies over those few weeks. Why? During the games, you started noticing this in the lead up. So I collected every single day those newspapers, and at the end, Bob Martin took a photo of a selection of those front covers.
Bob is one of the most talented and creative sports photographers ever. His ability to capture the peak moment in sports is unequaled, but his instincts for finding the unique angle is remarkable. Bob photographed what I believe is one of the greatest sports pictures of all time. Athlete Xavi Torres is captured from above as he enters the water, and to his left, where swimmers traditionally place their clothes, are his prosthetic legs. Beautifully framed, simple, yet powerful. It was named Sports Photograph of the Year by the World Press Photo Contest.
To me, that's what sports photography is about. And there's never been a better example of it. It was incredible to see. So congratulations, Bob, for this award. No one deserves it more.
Another favorite image was taken at a horse racing steeplechase event in 2011. Bob placed a remote where no human was allowed and captured the field of horses as they crashed over a hedge, causing all kinds of debris to appear, including a clump of turf that looked like a flying bat. Gorgeous light, perfectly timed and framed. Congratulations, Bob, on your much-deserved Lucie Award for Sports Photography.
I've discovered today I've done incredibly well, and I'm incredibly humbled. I've been awarded this Lucie Award for a lifetime achievement in sports photography. This is pretty amazing for me as a British guy. You know, this is an American award right at the top of my profession, so I'm incredibly humbled and incredibly proud to have been given this award.
This year's achievement in photojournalism goes to Jean-Pierre Lafond. Jean-Pierre Lafond was named one of the 100 most important people in photography. Jean-Pierre graduated with a master's degree in photography in Switzerland. He was founding member of the Gamma USA and Sigma Photo News Agency. For more than 5 decades, JP has traveled the globe covering the news, the people, and the social and economical issues of our times, from civil rights, race riots, Vietnam, as well as the gay and feminist movement. His book, Turbulent America, is a portrait of the US as seen through the eye of a French photographer, is a front row seats to our most gritty historical moments. His photos have been published in the world's leading news magazines, including Le Figaro, London Sunday Times, Newsweek's Paris Match, Stern, and Time. Lafond has received awards from the Overseas Press Club of America, the World Press Photo General Pictures Award, World Understanding Awards, and first prize from New York Newspaper Guild. In 1966, he was honored with the National French Order of Chevalier des Arts et des Lettres, a knight in National French Order of Arts and Letters. JP resides in New York with his wife, Eliane, his daughter, and his 2 granddaughters. Let's see his work.
I think of all the projects JP ever did, that touched me the most, at least, was his incredibly disturbing images of child labor, forced labor around the world. You know, his photographs of children as young as 6 were horrifying and eye-opening. At a time when most children in the developed world are just beginning their lives, JP was capturing horrible images, disturbing images, images that really sort of punch you in the gut, of children whose lives were just ending at that point. And his images were featured in publications all over the world, including at the United Nations.
I've always had a strange fascination for the United States. It's a country full of contradictions, of divisions, but also of common goals. Over the years, I fed this obsession with the images of some of the country's best photographers. Jean-Pierre Lafont is one of them, but when I discovered his work, there was something about it that set him apart from the others, at least for me. I thought at first that it had to do with the fact that he's a fellow Frenchman, but that wasn't it. What attracted me to his photographs was his childlike obsession and fascination for all things America. You can see the energy and curiosity in the breadth of his work. That's also something that sets him apart from other photographers. Jean-Pierre documented it all. The political rallies, the elections, social issues, but also, and more importantly for me, the everyday rituals that unite and divide Americans. His photos are all about joy, his own joy, to be documenting the story of the United States.
JP is one of those photographers, unfortunately old-fashioned now, but who is able to do everything with the same passion, with the same talent, with the same devotion. And it is what makes JP unique. JP is considered as a witness of our time.
How could one photographer cover so many seminal events with such a unique vision? I'm honored to be asked to talk about JP, and I'm thrilled at his being awarded the Lucie Award for photojournalism. And I can't think of any photographer who deserves it more.
Congrats, Jean-Pierre. You deserve this award.
Thank you so much for giving me the Lucie Award of Outstanding Achievement in Photojournalism. It's a great privilege, and I am honored to be included in the list of famous photographers such as Mark Ribot, Philip John Griffith, and James Natchway that I work alongside during my travel documenting the news, the people, and the issues of our times. And I want to pay a tribute to the people who made it possible. First, Béran Roth, who was the founder of Gamma and Sigma photo agency, where my professional life began. Then Jean-François Leroy, the founder of Visa pour l'Image, only festival of photojournalism where my work was exhibited very often. But most important, I want to thank the companion of my life, Eliane, my wife, who not only supported me, but edited my work, created my books, curated my shows, and promoted my work. Thank you, Lucie. I am so proud of this award. Thank you.
The Lucie Impact Awards are given to photographers whose work have made a substantial impact during this year.
Hi, my name is Paul Raichi. I'm a photojournalist based in southern New Mexico and El Paso, Texas. In September, I was covering the Haitian migrant encampment in Del Rio, Texas for Agence France Presse, AFP. I'm very grateful and honored by the Lucie Foundation to receive this year's Impact Award. And also very honored that the images that myself and my colleagues took have raised the focus on migration. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
Peter Magubani, our Lifetime Achievement recipient, has always lived by simple words, said a former editor. If you want a picture, you get that picture, under all circumstances. He was born in apartheid and worked through apartheid as a South African. As he said, his story is South Africa's history. His father was a fruit cart vendor who bought him his first camera, a Kodak Brownie. He started taking portraits at school, and when he saw the images of Robert Capa in the Family of Man exhibition, he decided to become then and there a photojournalist. He has become one of its greatest. In his chosen field, Magubani was shot 17 times with buckshot and rubber bullets, and was often the one who protected fellow photographers from crowds and dangerous situations. Peter was thrown into prison for 586 days and spent nearly 2 years in solitary confinement, made to stand on bricks for 5 days and fed sporadically only on coffee. What was his crime? He was photographing a 1969 demonstration. As soon as his 5-year ban was lifted in 1975, he grabbed his camera to document the Soweto uprising. He was taking pictures when a group of young men approached him demanding that he stop. He said, "Struggle without documentation is not a struggle. I'm not asking for myself only. I'm asking for anybody that has a camera documenting this struggle. You must let them work." And they listened. Documenting another riot in 1976, he was beaten by police. His home was burned down and once again put into prison for another 123 days. Peter was there when Mandela was released from his prison in 1990, and he became his personal photographer, but also to be the figure with the camera in the center of all violence that followed. A grandfather and great-grandfather today, Mr. Magubani lives in Johannesburg, where he was born. He advises young, aspiring photographers to just create work, noting that he never waited for editors to assign him a job. It is this attitude that has driven Magubani to publish 23 books so far, with more to come. He is one of the world's most acknowledged photographers, with 9 honorary doctorates to date. At 88, he's still very young, he said, Magubani continues to take photos. The man who describes himself as the fighter with a camera as his gun is now content to show the side of South Africa rarely seen in his earlier work, its beauty. "I'm tired of dealing with dead people," he said. "I now deal with sunsets." Yet, he's still prepared to keep fighting. "If things tend to be different from what I think they should be," he said, "I pick up my camera and go back and show the world what is going on now." Mr. Magubani has shown us all what a lifetime legend is made of. Now let's take a look at his wonderful work.
The historical importance of Peter Magubani's pictures is that he was at every major pivotal moment that shook South Africa's history. From the 1956 adoption of the Freedom Charter, the Sharpeville massacres, the June 16 Soweto uprising, the massacres of the 80s, Duncan Village, Uitenhage. Through those images, Through his pictures, he showed the world how apartheid operates.
Peter Magubani is one of the true legends in the history of documentary photography, and one of the pillars of the struggle against apartheid and the legacy of a new South Africa. I first witnessed Peter sharing his photographs from the Sharpeville Massacre, the Soweto riots, and the Rivonia trial that sent Nelson Mandela to prison with a life sentence, three of the most important moments in the evolution of the South African struggle, at a National Press Photographers Convention in the late 70s in a hotel room in northeastern Ohio.
I remember Peter having already gone through over a year and a half of solitary confinement for trying to photograph the liberation movement in South Africa with his camera. He was banned, as you may know, for 5 years, and he told the story of hiding his camera in a hollowed out loaf of bread so he could continue photographing. Keep fighting, brother. And that's really Peter's motto. It has been his whole life, never to stop fighting for his rights and for his people's rights. Fearless documentation and being a witness of events that will be there forever because Peter recorded them.
Is an artist and a humanist. He loves the art of documentary photography as much as anyone I have ever known, and I can't tell you how many young photographers he has helped along their journeys during the trying times of apartheid. It's one of the honors of my life to be Peter Magubani's colleague and friend, and the day he was born, God created a treasure for South Africa and for humanity around the world for all times. Viva my dear friend Peter Magubani.
Thank you so much to the Lucie Foundation for this incredible award and acknowledging Peter Magubani, rightfully so. Thank you.
Peter Magubani has sent a message from South Africa for me to read to you all. This is a great honor for me to receive the Lucie Foundation Lifetime Achievement Award. I am very sorry I cannot be with you all at this award ceremony. Receiving this award is indeed one of the greatest highlights of my career, and to achieve it in my lifetime is a very special event to me and my family. I am grateful to Hossein Farmani, founder of the Lucie Foundation, Lauren Wendell, and the advisory board of the Lucie Foundation for considering my work deserving of such an important award in the world of photography. Photography is one of the most important visual mediums that exists, and it is one of the most powerful tools and agents of liberation throughout the world. I am extremely honored. There have been so many people that have supported me in my career along the way, too many to mention today. I would like to pay special thanks to the following people who have really assisted and supported me over the years with my career, and I regard them all as great and true friends to me and my family. The late John Morris. John's guidance and mentoring me early in my career was truly invaluable. John was the older brother to me. John, you are missed by all the world of photography, a giant for us. Robert Stevens, my editor at Time Magazine, for his love, support, and guidance while I was at Time Magazine, and for continuing to check up on me over the years really means a great deal. David Turnley, I have really been touched by your support and admiration for me. I remember us working together and showing you the ropes in South Africa. Some very heavy situations we faced on a day-to-day basis to get those pictures and show the world the injustices of South Africa we were facing. You are one tough cookie, David, and not only a brilliant photographer, but a true and real friend. The late Raymond Lowe, my editor at Rand Daily Mail in South Africa. Raymond fought for me and saved my life on many occasions when the police had arrested me. And anything could have happened to me while in detention or in prison for doing my work. David Meyer-Golan, another tough and genuine cookie. We have traveled throughout South Africa and all over the world together, working together. Your love, support for me and my family, your care and strength for my career over many years we have worked together and continue to work has been an absolute blessing to me and my family. Thank you, David. Raina Pasha, more than my caregiver and nurse, you truly are a gift from God for me and my family. Thank you, Mama Raina. Very importantly, to my children, Fikiel, Linda, and Ipia, it was not easy for you without your father away, working all the time or in prison or being detained for his work. I am very proud of each of you and the people that you've become in your respected careers. I'm grateful that today we can see one another on a regular basis and I could spend time with all of my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. I must also thank you all so much for the care you have shown with me in my illness and have gotten older and not always being able to do things on my own. Again, thank you, Hossein, Lauren, and all the Lucie Foundation. Much hope and peace to you all in these very challenging times. Dr. Peter Magubani.
The Photographer of the Year is the top prize awarded to the winner of the International Photography Awards in the professional categories. From nearly 14,000 entries from 120 countries around the world, the IPA's jury selected the 13 professional category winners who are the finalists for these awards. We now go to New York, where Susan Barras, co-chair of the Lucie Awards and chair of IPA Jury Committee, will present the Photographer of the Year awards.
Being head of judging in this complex time of ever-present COVID virus, reaching its grip around the world, I was sure there wouldn't be a strong or powerful display of work submitted to the International Photo Awards, its 19th year. It's a good thing I didn't choose to be a psychic reader because I would have been a failure. Images poured in from around the globe, but not just photographs. Great, brilliant, extraordinary works in all categories. This made the exceptional jurors of the IPA work harder than ever at choosing one above the rest in each of the categories. This applies to both pro and non-pros alike. In fact, they could be interchangeable titles. I thought COVID would prevent photographers from getting their stories, their visual images out, but instead, almost 14,000 were inspired to create, enlighten, and endeavor to push themselves more than ever before. What a powerful, passionate presence to pursue at this time to make this happen. I should have known better. The true power of photography, no matter what the message entails, be it simple or profound, is apparently unstoppable, even in a pandemic. Before we look at the finalists for Photographer of the Year, I want to thank Hannah Lillington, who is always front and center for all IPA input and sorts out any, and I mean any, problem that comes up. Hannah, you're a gift. Not to be outdone, I am beyond grateful to the most qualified and respected 80 jurors on the photography planet in taking their valuable time and donating it to choose these finalists among so many mind-blowing, winning works. The IPA jurors, like the entries themselves, are from all parts of the world. Lastly, I want to thank OnePlus, our head sponsor for IPA. With their cash prize of $10,000 for the Photographer of the Year, you have truly made IPA possible, and thank you doesn't even cover what we feel. Photography is the universal language. in a still image. It conveys a message to make us buy, desire, transport ourselves to a place, be aware, rally for or against, stir us, inspire us, engage us, even revolt us, and make us want to turn away. Too late. The photo is ingrained in our minds and we are changed. Thanks to the photographers, our individual world has been expanded using their remarkable insight and vision. The 2021 IPA finalists for Photographer of the Year are now part of our ever-growing IPA global community. We are all so very lovingly embracing. They are the best examples of photography's ability to startle, amaze, inspire, and even overcome a virus. This art has proven itself beautifully unrelenting. Thank you all. Now let us take a look at our IPA Pro category finalists.
The winner of the 2021 Professional Advertising Photographer of the Year is John Hewitt, Rush. The winner of the 2021 Professional Analog Film Photographer of the Year is Angelique Boisier, Mares. The winner of the 2021 Professional Architect Photographer of the Year is Julia Anna Gospodaro, Flying Away. The winner of the 2021 Professional Book Photographer of the Year is Delphine Blast, Flowers of the Isthmus. The winner of the 2021 Professional Deeper Perspective Photographer of the Year is Bob Newman, Shadows of Emmett Till. The winner of the 2021 Professional Editorial Press Photographer of the Year is Mel D. Cole, Capitol Riot 1/6/21. The winner of the 2021 Professional Event Photographer of the Year is Chung Kok Yu, Qingshan King Festival. The winner of the 2021 Professional Fine Art Photographer of the Year is Mikhail Awuna, Infinite Essence. The winner of the 2021 Professional Nature Photographer of the Year is Lieselot Schuppers, Beyond Horses. The winner of the 2021 Professional People Photographer of the Year is Art Streiber, Lady Gaga. The winner of the 2021 Professional Sports Photographer of the Year is Andre Magarau, Action and Light. The winner of the 2021 Professional Still in Motion Video Photographer of the Year is Shilpa Narayanan, Embers, a fashion film.
Weren't those images remarkable? And now we have to select one as the Photographer of the Year for 2021. And I will be opening this envelope and find out who it is. The Lucie Award for Photographer of the Year goes to John Hewitt, Fine Art. Congratulations, John. Well deserved. Wonderful. Now on to our Discovery of the Year Award. This is such an incredible title because we have seen works that truly need to be discovered by all those who care about photography's future. We want you to know the art is in great hands. The images submitted are truly breathtaking in their execution and their unique vision. These finalists, like photography itself, will thrive going forward. I again want to thank OnePlus for being the sponsor for the Photography Discovery of the Year Award with a $5,000 cash prize, but mostly for supporting and being such an advocate for IPA's remarkable photography entries and for photography itself. Let's now look at the Discovery of the Year finalists.
The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Advertising Photographer of the Year is Antonio Coelho, Consumption. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Analog Film Photographer of the Year is Chris Round, Boat Hire, Lake Jindabyne. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Architecture Photographer of the Year is Cesar Sedano Brea, High Rising. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Book Photographer of the Year is Sue Park, Monovision. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Deeper Perspective Photographer of the Year is Joanna Borowick. W was born in a camp. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Editorial Press Photographer of the Year is Sharwar Hussain, Tears of River Erosion. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Event Photographer of the Year is Brian Wotring, Unconditional Surrender. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Fine Art Photographer of the Year is Jia Lei Lu, 1. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Nature Photographer of the Year is Javier Ruperez, Jumping Spider Eyes Viewed at 20x. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional People Photographer of the Year is Elisa Miller, Contact. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Sports Photographer of the Year is Masatoshi Ujihara, Blue Rain Track. The winner of the 2021 Non-Professional Still in Motion Video Photographer of the Year is Aitor Del Arco, Chronicles of Fallen in Love.
What amazing talent we have to look forward to seeing for years to come. And now I'm going to open the envelope for the Discovery of the Year award. The Discovery of the Year 2021 goes to Sharwar Hussein, editorial, congratulations, beautiful work, all of you. And thank you for being a part of the International Photography Awards.
Lucie Support Category Awards are presented to individuals, companies, and organizations that are an integral part of crafting an image, people that are making the work of photographers possible. Their contribution to the industry, although often unseen, has been immense.
America. You blame me for interfering with your democracy, but I don't have to. You are doing it to yourselves. Polling stations are closing. You don't know who to trust. You are divided. There are strings we can pull, but we don't have to. You are pulling them for us.
items acquired can be returned, with all tags still attached and in their original packaging. All products offer bear an identification label and must be tried on without removing the tag. Remember to enjoy before returning.
We also want to take a moment this evening to remember and celebrate the incredible work of some of the greatest photographers that we have lost these past 2 years. Their images have helped to define nearly every aspect of our world, and their vision is immortalized in the images that they have captured. This concludes the 2021 18th edition of the Lucie Awards. I hope tonight these incredible images and stories has inspired you to take your camera, capture the unbelievable stories around you, and share it with us. Good night.